Okay, morning everyone. I'm going to go through some rearranging formulae because a few people have struggled with that. So I'm going to go through questions 1, questions 4, question 5, question 11 and question 16 because I think that gives a good range of the questions that we'll have to do. So the first one, question 1, we have, so question 1, x equals y squared plus 7. So we've got x equals y squared plus 7. So we're trying to make y the subject of this one. Trying to rearrange this so we've got y equals something. So what we need to do, first of all, is get y on the side of the formula on its own. So the first thing we can do is get rid of this plus 7. So we need to take away 7 from both sides. So if we do that on the left, we had x, we've taken away 7, so we've got x minus 7. On the right hand side, we've just got y squared. Because we've removed the 7 now, so we've just got y squared. So we've got x minus 7 equals y squared. We want to get just y though. So we've got y squared, so we need to square root both sides. And that'll take it from a y squared just to being y. So square root that to get y. On the left hand side we had x minus 7. We've square rooted, so we've now got square root of x minus 7. There's nothing more we can do with that one. That's now in its final form. So I'm going to have a look at question 4 now. So this is question 4 and question 5 are linked together. So I'll go through 4 first and then we'll do question 5. So we've got question 4. We have s equals a over 1 minus r. And we want to rearrange this to make it so that r is the subject. So this one is still similar to question 1 because we've just got one r. We don't have there's not an r somewhere else in the formula. So we're still just rearranging to get that one r. But the difficulty now is that's in the denominator, so we need to work out what we can do with that. So the first thing we want to do, we'll try and get it out of the denominator. So we've got a denominator here of 1 minus r. So this is a divided by 1 minus r. So to get rid of that, we're going to times both sides by 1 minus r. And I'm going to put that in brackets to make sure it's all of that we're timesing by. I'm going to do that to both sides. So we've got s times 1 minus r on this side. So we had s, we've times it by 1 minus r, so we've got s 1 minus r on that side. On this side, we had a divided by 1 minus r, now we've just got a. So, nearly there, we've got rid of it in the denominator now, so it's become a bit easier. Now what we can do is expand this out. So we've got s times 1, which is just s, and we've got s times minus r, so that'll be minus s r. And then we haven't done anything to the right hand side, so that'll just stay the same. So we've got s minus sr equals a. So we're still trying to rearrange to get this on its own. We'll get a good amount of the way there, just got a couple more steps to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to subtract s from both sides, because we're trying to get r on its own. We're going to subtract this s from both sides. So we've got minus sr, and that equals a minus s, because we've taken away s from both sides. So we've got minus s r equals a minus s. So last step, we've got minus sr, we're trying to get r on its own, we need to divide by minus s. So that just leaves us with r on that side, and on this side we've got a minus s, that is divided by minus s. So just leave it like that. It's important to remember we've done minus on both sides, so we've got divided by minus s here, not just divided by s. So that's question 4. Question 5 actually follows on from question 4. So question 5 is work out the value of r when s equals 10a. So we're told s equals 10a. So what we're going to need to do is actually substitute in s equals 10a into what we've got here. So if we had r equals a minus s divided by minus s, what we need to do now is we need to substitute in s is 10a. So we've got r equals a minus 10a, because we've got an s there, we've substituted in 10a, so we've got a minus 10a, and that is divided by minus 10a. So again, we've got an s there, and that's 10a. Oh, it's gone off the page. So we've got a 10a, we've got a 10a in the denominator as well. So now we can simplify that. So we've got a minus 10a, that's just going to be minus 9a, and then that is over minus 10a. So first thing to note, we've got an a in the numerator and an a in the denominator. So we can divide by a and get rid of that as a common term. So we've got minus 9 divided by minus 10. So we've got a negative divided by a negative. Here we have a positive answer, so that would be 9/10 or 0.9. Okay, so we've done questions 1, 4 and 5. We're now going to go on to some of the hard ones. We're going to go on to question 11 and question 16. So I'll explain what makes these ones a bit different as well. So 11, if we've got 5x minus 2y equals x plus 18. So this is question 11. And we're trying to make x the subject of this. So we want x on its own on one side. Problem we see here, we've got x there and x there, so we've got two x's on this one. So we need to sort that out. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off by, we look at which side has got the smaller x. So if we've got 5x there, we've got 1x here. This is the smaller one, so we're going to take that away. So we're going to minus x from both sides. So if we had 5x and we've taken away x, that just leaves us with 4x. We've got minus 2y. On this side we had an x, we've taken it away, so we're just left with 18 on that side. So we can see we've solved our original problem. We don't have two x's now, we've just got the one x. We've got 4x's here, no x's on that side. So we've just got one term that has x's in, that's what we're aiming for. So we've got our 4x, we now need to get this on a side on its own. So we're going to add 2y to both sides, and that'll get rid of the minus 2y that's on the same side here. So we end up with 4x equals 18 plus 2y. So we've added 2y to both sides, so we've got 18 plus 2y. Last we've got 4x, we just want x, so we're going to divide by 4. So we've got x equals, so we've got 18 plus 2y, that side hasn't changed, but we've divided by 4. So we've got all of that over 4. And that's question 11. So the tricky part here is that when we started, we had two terms that had x in, so we had to sort that out first. Okay, and last question I think was 16 we'll do. So this is one of the harder ones on there. So we've got 16, we're trying to make n the subject, so we've got t equals square root of, and then n plus 3 over n. Trying to make n the subject. So again, we can see similar problem to 11. We've got n in two of the terms, so we need to sort that out. But firstly, we can see we've got a square root of this whole thing. So square roots make it a bit harder to deal with. So the first thing we can do is get rid of that. So we can get rid of a square root on this side just by squaring. So we're going to square that, and we're going to do the same here as well. So we've got t squared, and that will equal n plus 3 over n. So because this was a square root, we've squared that, and it's just gone to whatever within the square root. So now we've got an n on the denominator there. So back in question 4, I think it was, we had a denominator. We times that up to get rid of it. So if we times both sides by n, on this side that gives us t squared times n, or t squared n. On this side we were dividing by n, but now we are timesing that by n, so we're just going to end up with n plus 3. So now we've got our n's, we don't have any denominators, which is good. We can now start to sort of rearrange this to get n on its own. So the first thing we want to do, when you've got more than one term that's got n, either we're going to take it away, like we did in this one, or we're going to have to factorise. So to factorise, we need to have them on the same side of the formula. Oh, so I'm just putting that times n there. So we're going to take away this n from both sides, so we've got all our n's on one side. So we're going to minus n. So we've got t squared n minus n. And on this side we've just got equals 3, because we had n plus 3, but we've taken away n, so we've just got 3. So now what we can do is we can factorise this side. We've got an n there, we've got an n there. So that means we have a common factor of n. So we've got n, and then to get this term, we have nt squared, so the first thing in the bracket is going to be t squared. And then we've got minus n. So if we've got n out the front of the brackets, that just means we have minus 1 in the brackets. That equals 3. We haven't done anything to that right hand side. All we've done is factorise this side. Okay, so now, a bit of a longer winded route, but we've solved our problem of having more than one n. We've just got one n in our formula now. Only one term has an n in it. So now we can divide by this whole bracket. So we can divide by t squared minus 1. Oh, that's a bit out of focus. So we can divide by t squared minus 1. So we end up with just n on that side. And on this side we've got 3 over t squared minus 1. So we end up with, we've got n on its own on one side of the formula. So we've got sort of a couple of different levels of difficulty there. We've got the original ones, the question 1, that was just, we've got one term, which just got one y in it, we're trying to rearrange that to work out y. Then kind of the next level of difficulty is when we've got denominators in. That makes it a little bit trickier. With that, your best bet is to get rid of the denominator as quickly as possible. So in this case, we times by the denominator straight away. That just gets rid of it straight off the bat. Next step of difficulty was doing a bit of substitution as well. So this one we had 10a. We had to substitute in and then solve. We'd already done the rearranging here. We just had to substitute in. So that one's kind of a pretty common follow-up question. And then these two, which are definitely a bit tricky when you've got the term appearing in more than one case. So in this case we've got 5x and we've got x. You then have to rearrange to get rid of that. So question 11, question 16, there'd generally be a few more marks because you're starting off with more terms that have got the one you're interested in. So in this case there's more than one term that has x's. In question 16 there was more than one term that had n. So a couple of different difficulties there.